What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So you guys have seen the 67 flooded Corvette. We got it up in the air right now. I'm gonna pull the rear suspension out of it so that we can clean everything up. As you can see, the rear differential needs painted. A bunch of bolts and everything need cleaned up. As you can see from the front, we already started doing all that, have everything cleaned up here. Took a lot of the bolts off and cleaned them. Took the brakes apart, cleaned all the brakes, cleaned all these bolts. In the process of getting the headers redone. And then I've got some wiring stuff I've ordered to clean this up right here. But yeah, you can see the difference between this side, which hasn't really been cleaned, and that side that has been cleaned. Just to make it easier, we're gonna rip the rear differential out of this thing. Since it's a factory rear end, it's bolted to factory mount points. Well, I guess since it's a factory frame and a factory rear end, it's just bolted right here. So these bolts on each side, this bolt right here, and then just have to take these upper and lower control arms out of here, and this will all drop down. So I'm gonna get started on that, and then we'll move on to the next part of this thing. All right, we got the rear end out of this thing. As you can see, she's a little rusty, not too bad. These half shafts are a little rusty, but other than that, I mean, all the powder coated stuff's gonna clean up really nice. But you can see the difference in the rotors and all the screws and everything compared to the fronts after we've cleaned them all up. And here, like the top of the frame's got some dust on it. Really, it's not even from the salt, it's dust from the junkyard that this thing was sitting in. But yeah, no signs of like rust or water getting there or anything like that. This up here, remember, it got to the middle of the gills, so up here didn't get any water, but like in here got a little bit. So we'll take that apart and clean all that up, clean all these links up. So yeah, we're going to strip this thing apart, clean it all up, and then put it back together. If I paint the rear end. What's crazy is this is a Tom's differential, same thing that we run in all of our other Corvettes that we race from the Fast Racing Series. You can see right there, Tom's diff, which Tom's is out of business now. Not out of business, but they don't make 12-bolt stuff anymore. This is a 12-bolt ring and pinion inside of this rear end. And then thankfully, this is cut because you can't get a bolt in, or because you can't get a socket in there. You got to use a wrench and pull that out. I thought I was gonna have to cut a hole in the floor to be able to get that out. I've been working on this thing for a little bit, and I'll show you my progress. Starting in the back, I just pulled all the chrome and everything off back here, and I pulled this off so we could buff under it. So that got buffed on. Let me put this on without scratching the car. Pulled the exhaust off. This stuff actually, this is Cerakote. This stuff will actually clean up really, really nice. I gotta repaint the drive shaft, but I just wanted to get behind the bumpers and clean those up a little bit. They're not terrible, but yeah, I mean, the car deserves better. But up here, you can see the difference in how clean it is after basically rubbing on it and taking the bolts out, cleaning the bolts up, using some acid. This is like a wheel cleaner acid from Pro Products. That's what we're using on a lot of stuff. But you can see the difference, how nasty this looks, how the bolts look. It's all water stained, and there's nasty. I should have turned the light on, but you can definitely see the difference in it. Side pipe's off, so we clean the frame. Actually, the bird cage and everything is coated with this like truck bed coating, and that's really good. So get in there with the hose and just blast all that out. You guys, help me out a little bit. Hit that subscribe button. You want to see more of this stuff? Got more content on that. We're going to beat the crap out of this thing this summer. Put them on the dynos, drag race them. We got a bunch of new events coming for the Fast Racing Series, and a plan to build a new car for something that you guys are gonna like. Hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything, helps us out a lot. And also head to hpdepot.com, pick up some merchandise. We've got 3 different styles of t-shirts on there, got some hats on there, but for right now, let's get back to the video. The rear differential is totally blown apart. This is the top cross member that bolted up to the frame. That's all painted up. Ryan and my dad were working on this while I was working on that thing. But as you can see, this thing is just totally apart, and this part will come off, and then this will get cleaned up, painted, and then that acid that I showed you will make this aluminum look like brand new. And then we got the Detroit Speed knuckles down there. Those will also get all cleaned up and then fully assembled again. So basically restoring a restored car. This thing's got 222 miles on it, and we've got to go through everything again, but it deserves it. It'll be well worth it when it's done, especially when you take this thing to a car show or somewhere and you're like, yeah, it's a flood car. It was flooded in the hurricane down in Florida, and they look underneath it and they're like, oh wow, you can't even tell. So that is why we're spending all this time on it, making it look like it was never even wet. Too bad it wasn't freshwater. Freshwater floods are like awesome. They clean up so well. Could have put a top on this thing and drove it through an automatic car wash and sprayed the bottom of it, and it would have been clean and good to go. But obviously, salt water is a little bit different. It takes more time, but in the end, you won't even know. So haven't done anything to the interior yet. It's still the way it showed up, except for one seat's out of it, but that seat was out of it when it showed up. So I'm gonna go clean up the other side, and we'll be putting this rear end back together and throw it back in this thing. I grabbed a flashlight so we can actually see the difference, but you see how nasty it is in there, and dirty, and you know, corroded. You spot the difference. Looks nice. All the bolts are clean. I didn't take that one out and clean it. I still got to take it out. It's a pain. It goes through this whole shebang, and then I've got to clean the brake line. All right, a little bit of update on where we're at with this Corvette. Showed you earlier, this side we did, not the other side. Then we ended up pulling the rear taillight, or the rear panel off of it, and cleaning up everything under here. Replacing all the bolts, just doing everything we can to make this thing look nice. We still got to put 2 bolts right here. And then I got this side cleaned up and ready to go. And then my grandpa's been working on the exhaust, cleaned up really nice. And then on the spots where it didn't clean up, like the top half of it where water was sitting, he just ended up spraying with some black paint. So that made a huge difference right there. And then one of the biggest projects of this thing was this rear suspension setup. So everything was taken down to the bare rear end housing, cleaned up everything, all the bolts, all of the arms were taken off, cleaned up, wire wheeled, and put back together. And then the cradle and everything was all taken totally apart. This thing was down to absolutely nothing. And we cleaned everything up, painted everything. Acid has been our friend on cleaning this thing up. And then we've got the brake rotors and everything cleaned up too, because these were rusty around all the bolts. So looks like a huge mess right here, right now, but I mean it is. But making huge progress on this thing. We've still got a little bit of things to clean up, like the engine, right around the starter area, and this fuse box that they had, battery tray, which we've got another battery tray, and then clean up all these wires. Probably just replace all these wires. There's nothing wrong with them, but they've got this coating on them that is kind of nasty looking. And then this thing can go back together because the front is basically done. So clean up when you use the brakes. And then it's off to the interior, which shouldn't be too bad. Rip the carpet out, clean everything up, and put the carpet back in, whether we're replacing the carpet or just washing the carpet. We'll see how that goes. All right, we've been working on this thing for a few days now, and the underneath is like 99%. Still gotta put the bumpers and the rear valance on, of course, but the rear end is totally together, totally redone. Everything's been painted, cleaned up. It turned out super nice. We're still waiting on these puppies to drain, and then we'll clean the floor up there and paint that up. Didn't really work in this middle area because of the lift. We're gonna put on the drive on, clean all that stuff up. But up here, totally done, super clean. I think we're gonna maybe replace the engine mounts. They're a little corroded. Next up on this thing is clean out all of this mess. We haven't touched the interior at all. And you can see back there, water and salt just chilling. Had an aftermarket amplifier for some speakers up there. You can't see that one. You can't see that one either, but they're in there. So that is the next thing to do to this thing. Is rip the interior out, clean the interior up, fix the seats. The seats are terrible. This is bolted in. As you can see, the mounts are really bad. We didn't pull that seat out. It either rusted out or was never bolted in, or somebody pulled it out before. So probably see if we can fix these seats. I don't know. See if we can fix them, or go ahead and get another set of seats, or we've got a bunch of factory seats. We could throw some factory seats in this thing. All right, guys, quick update on this thing. The exhaust is back on, rear end is back in. I don't remember where we actually left off, but we did get our headers back. I didn't necessarily want the silver, but he had the silver in stock, and run not really a time crunch, but this thing's got to get off the lift because we don't have any other wheels with this offset that will fit on this thing and fit over these brakes. And those wheels go to a polisher tomorrow, and I'd like to get the car in the middle here and up on jack stands so this lift's not tied up. Yeah, we're tightening up the exhaust right now. We've got new cutouts on it. We got to shorten the cutout wires because we put a new cutout wiring harness on it. And then we should be able to let this thing down and fire it back up. A little bit of an exhaust leak down there, but nothing we can't fix. We are making some crazy fast progress on the 67 Corvette. As you can see, it is now over here on jack stands. I took the wheels to a polisher just a couple towns down the road. He's gonna polish those things up, and we might even have them back fairly soon. I figured it'd be a little bit. Working on the interior right now. We're gonna put in, it didn't have a board down here, so we're making one, cleaning up the inside a little bit. I adjusted the gas pedal a little bit. I didn't adjust it, I cut it and re-welded it. Sucked it down to the floor a little bit more because it was sticking up flush with the brake pedal and the clutch pedal. These are adjustable, so I can move these down too. Trying to get a little bit more leg room for us 6 foot and taller people. The seats are these Recaros. I don't know if I showed these to you guys yet. And then I ended up cutting up factory seat brackets and welding them to the sliders. That heater, of course, is going to turn on as soon as we're talking. So these bolt up nice. They bolt up with factory brackets into the factory locations, so nothing crazy there. The other one, getting ready to weld on it. We just got these mounted, and then got to weld the front ones in, and they'll be pretty much ready to set in. This thing is fairly close to being done. The carpet, this is the original carpet that was in it. Just cleaned it up. So carpet's ready to go in. As soon as we get the carpet in it, get the driver's seat in, the passenger seat welded up, and get that thing bolted in, get the wheels and tires on this thing, it'll be basically done. Now I do know they were in the middle of tuning this thing. I don't know if I told you guys yet or not, but we did talk to a shop that worked on this car. I haven't talked to the owner yet, but the shop gave me all sorts of information. 417 cubic inch LS, got stage 1 Frankenstein LS3 heads. They just got this intake on it. This was a newer intake that they were running. They used to have like a carbureted intake on it with a throttle body on the top of it. All the other stuff we knew, TR6060, Detroit speed stuff. Basically was just wondering about the engine. We knew it had to be built of some sort. But anyways, what reminded me about that is they were in the middle of tuning this thing. So it doesn't actually fire up when you hit the key. You got to give it some throttle, and then it'll start and idle. So it needs a little bit of tune work. That's why it hasn't been together and taken down the road yet, because we got to get it on the dyno and do a little bit of tuning on this thing. We're gonna get back on this interior, get all this, all these tools and everything cleaned up. That way we can throw the carpet in, and then get these seats in there and get this thing looking like a car on the inside. All right, we're driving back from the wheel polisher. As you can see, we stuffed 4 wheels inside this regular cab Chevy truck. I didn't want them riding on the bed, but I brought blankets just in case I had to. But yeah, somehow I've got 4 wheels in here. He polished them up, got them shining good. So we're gonna head back right now, mount the tires back on these things, and get them mounted on the car. All right, well, I thought we were gonna put these wheels on, but I think I'm going to polish them up a little bit better than that myself. And then we need to clean inside the spokes a little bit. Got most of the interior done. Seats getting ready to go in that side. Carpet's getting ready to go on that side. Basically just waiting for the wheels and tires, and then this thing will be done. Just gonna wrap this video up. If you wanna see more of this thing, you wanna see more of our content, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Our last video on this thing did great. We're at like 100,000 views right now. I've gotten like 1,500 subscribers from it. Let's try to do that again. Don't forget, we have merchandise. hpdepot.com. Get yourself some merchandise. But that's gonna wrap this video up. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.